Okay, I'm gonna show you now how to convert your elderberry syrup that you've made. This is 8 ounces. It's been cooled and now it's ready to convert into gummies. I have trays of gummies, a couple trays. One, I have dinosaurs and rockets. If you don't have a tray, that's fine. You can just use like a bread pan or an 8x8 pan and let it just congeal on the bottom, and then you can cut that up into individual one, or even use cookie cutters, small cookie cutters if you want. So no need to buy anything special. If you don't have kids and you don't care what the pattern is, you can just make it with something you already have. So your first step is to take a quarter cup of your cooled elderberry syrup and add that to 4 tablespoons of gelatin. You can use any kind of gelatin you want, and then you're going to want to mix this up until the gelatin dissolves. From there, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of warm water to help kind of activate the gelatin. You don't want it to be boiling, but you want it to be warm. I've actually even added a teaspoon of lemon juice, about a quarter of a lemon, to kind of help with flavor and also to just help it last a little bit. It kind of has a preservative effect, so it'll help it last a little longer. But you don't want to add too much because you don't want it to be super sour unless that just doesn't bother you. So this is pretty consistently, look, it's kind of like the consistency of jam. Now I'm going to add in my 2/3 cup of water and hot water and a little bit of lemon juice. I'm going to stir that in until it all kind of melds together and dissolves. And then I'm going to add the rest of my 8 ounces of elderberry syrup. My hot water is dissolved. Looks like a really thick syrup. Now I'm going to add in the rest of my elderberry syrup. And then once that's done, I'm going to also add in this is your opportunity to flavor it with your vitality oils. I'm going to go with orange vitality. I'm going to put probably like 15-20 drops. I want it to be really orangey in its flavor. My kids really like the citrus flavors, so I'm just going to do this whole one that way. Then I'm going to start pouring it in the molds, and once my molds fill up, I'm going to pour it in this pan, and then I'll be able to cut it up. As a reminder, your vitality oils are the same exact oil that's put into the bigger label or the solid label orange essential oil. They're the exact same oil, they just have a different label, and that's for FDA purposes. So now I've flavored it with my oils. I can see it's starting to thicken up. And actually what I'm going to do for easier pouring is I'm going to dump this back into my measuring cup, my silicone measuring cup, and then that's how I'm going to pour it into these different things. Okay, I'm gonna pour now. You could also do this if you could use a medicine dropper, or you could use a squeeze bottle. Okay, I've got one gummy tray done, one mold tray. I'm gonna do the next one. One consideration, you wanna put this in the fridge for an hour, and from there you can pop them out of the molds and store them in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 2 months, or they'll last in your freezer up to a year. So some people like to put them all in the freezer and then maybe pull out a week's worth and let them thaw in the refrigerator, an airtight container there, and then you're going to have a better longevity on your oils. But again, or your elderberry syrup gummies. But again, this is your opportunity to flavor. Lime is a great option, orange, citrus fresh. Fennel, frankincense, if you want something a little earthier or grounded. You could even do peppermint. You can pick anything, really, any of the vitality oils that appeal to you. Personally, my preference is going to be for the citrus oils every time, but you do you. So you can see it's been more than an hour now, this in the fridge, and I'm just going to pop them out of the molds, and there you go. A little gummy. Put them in an airtight container, and I'll store them in the fridge or the fridge for 2 months, which, that'll never last that long for 4 kids in the house. And I'll just do 1 gummy a day will be the serving size on this. and put them in the freezer if you feel like they're not going to last, or you're not going to be able to go through them in 2 months. I'll probably put a layer of parchment paper between here, but I think they turned out pretty well. And here's my baking dish. I'm just going to slice and make some squares and rectangles and pop that in here too.